The current rolling blackouts have left many South Africans, especially matric pupils and university students, as they coincide with the exam time. The blackout impact negatively on exam preparation as well as writing. The power utility has been unable to keep the lights on for weeks, blaming this on the ongoing insufficient generation capacity. Well, for more on this, I'm joined by Professor Tshilidzi Marwala. He's the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Johannesburg. Thank you very much for joining us, Prof. So just describe for us how the weeks of blackouts have impacted the university and particularly your students.
Well, of course, we are all concerned about the electricity crisis that we face as a country, and its impact on our students. One of the things that we have done as the University of Johannesburg in preparation for this has been to start generating electricity using solar. So here at the University of Johannesburg, as we speak, 15% of our energy needs actually comes from solar. If you come to our campuses, you will realize that many of the parking lots that have been that used to be open spaces now are roofed, and what is in the roof are actually solar panels. So we have prepared for this. We have generators in all our campuses to make sure that the impact of this is as minimal as possible.
Yeah.
But of course,
I was going to say,
does not mean that
that is a positive aim, and it's positive that you have an alternative. But do you feel that that has been satisfactory enough, that is your alternative energy, in being able not to disrupt your students to the extent that the blackouts could?
No, absolutely not, because it's only 15%, which means that we need to supplement that power. And what we do have in all our campuses is that we have generators that we run using diesel to make sure that we minimize as much as possible the impact of the blackouts. But of course, the cost of electricity for using generators and diesel is much higher than you would normally pay if you are using the ESCOM grid. So we really are very reliant on the grid. So this is not a perfect solution.
Yeah. So in the long term, how concerned are you about the situation? Because like you say, it will be very difficult for the University of Johannesburg to move from 15% to 100% renewable energy. And at the same time, there are these constraints that the students and the university staff face. So how concerned are you about the mid to long term if this situation is not resolved?
Well, I think this situation must be resolved. We are concerned about it. As the University of Johannesburg, we work with the power producers, whether they are the local ones in the city of Johannesburg, City Power, or whether it is ESCOM, whether it is through our research, whether it is through our consultancy. So we are very concerned, and we believe that the solution to our energy needs in the country will necessarily also have to involve the knowledge that comes from universities such as University of Johannesburg that have studied this problem quite extensively.
And just in terms of the University of Johannesburg and innovation in this area, are there any particular campaigns or projects that your students or departments are involved in?
No, absolutely. All the way from predictive maintenance, because one of the problems with ESCOM is that we are not doing predictive maintenance to the extent that we are supposed to do it. So predictive maintenance basically means instead of running an instrument to fail, which means you're going to have a blackout, you can be able to predict when it is going to fail, and you plan accordingly. So that is one of the projects that we are doing. We are also working on alternative sources of energy, whether it is hydrogen energy and so on and so forth, so that we can diversify the energy mix of our country. We are working on demand side management. Another issue that we need to do, are we are we encouraging people to save electricity, to switch off those geysers when they leave their homes, and so on and so forth? That seems to have just disappeared. Certainly from a market buzz perspective, more needs to be done. So all those areas we are working on, and we really are open as the University of Johannesburg to assist our country to get through this crisis. We will get through this crisis, but it will involve deepening the skills levels, because the skills that are needed to fix Eskom, are they there? We are participating in that by creating the knowledge that is needed in order for us to get out of this.
Professor, just one last thing, just in terms of this preemptive maintenance, not sure if that's the term that you use, but the preemptive maintenance, we do hear that the vast majority of Eskom power plants are quite old. You know, their average age is 40 years old. Do you worry that after years of neglect in terms of maintenance, and now they're trying to have the correct approach towards maintenance, that some of the power stations are actually unmaintainable?
Well, obviously, you will have to replace the assets. I actually think with predictive maintenance, you can extend the life. Our power stations, granted, are old. We need to get Medupi and Kusile to work. I mean, we have invested. You were talking about the 460 billion rands debt. It was mainly to go to build Medupi and Kusile. And they are not working 100%. I think maybe 2023, that's an optimistic view. They are going to be working 100%. So all those factors are extremely important, and we need to take into account when you are running an old infrastructure, you are going to maintain more. So your knowledge on maintenance engineering, I'm an engineer myself, so I am quite familiar with these issues. In fact, I wrote a book on predictive maintenance. It is important that we skill the people. It is important that we introduce this into our system, but you will only be able to do that if your finances allow it. Another issue is the financial issue at Eskom. The debt is too high, and as a result, it siphons away the amount of resources that you can use for maintenance, and we need to deal with that also.
Professor Tshilidzi Marwala, thank you very much for joining us, sir. He's the Vice-Chancellor at the University of Johannesburg.